Good morning, everyone. We will call the Tippecanoe County Commissioners meeting to order. If you'll please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. The first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from our July 15th meeting.
Mr. President, I move to approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion passes. All right. Accounts payable vouchers.
Mr. President, I would move that we approve the accounts payable vouchers for period beginning July 19th, 2024 through August 5th, 2024.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That passes. And payroll.
I would also move for approval of payroll for July 19th and August 2nd as submitted.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That passes. All right. Highway.
Good morning.
Morning.
First item we have is an interlocal agreement with the Indiana Department of Transportation. It basically lays the groundwork for them to give to the county $290,000 that they had planned, originally budgeted for lane improvements on 52 at 450 South, 500 East that were incorporated into our project.
So this is a rebate.
Rebate.
There we go.
Thank you very much.
Mr. President, I move that we approve this interlocal agreement.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That passes.
Okay. Second item is a consulting contract amendment number 1 with Lockmuller Group for bridges 80 and 83. Some archaeological sites were discovered, which increased environmental services. The increase in amount of $7,015 to a new not to exceed of $997,515 for the 2 bridges.
Mr. President, I move for approval as submitted.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That passes.
Our final item is a petition to vacate. This is Faith Properties, Inc. It's Mercy Way off of State Road 26. This is the first step. Doug can correct me if I'm wrong, but the petition is on file. At this point, you allow them permission to move forward with the process of vacating, which means it allows them to advertise it in the paper, contact adjoiners, who are basically them because they are the only adjoiner.
Yeah, so right now, basically, all you need to do is set this for hearing on your next meeting on the 19th.
So move.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to set this for hearing. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, youth services. Morning, Rebecca. You've got a bunch of contracts.
Yes, the first are our contracts for our typical juvenile detention alternative initiative work. Our grant funding started July 1st and will run through June 30th, 2025. So these continue our services of parenting the teen brain, policing the teen brain, school tutoring, our parent project and education programming that we do, and teen court.
Question I have, though, Rebecca, is, because next on the agenda is basically the exact same contracts, one being paid out JDI, one being paid out general?
2 different contracts. So the Lindsay Wright contract, so she is currently on contract to facilitate parent project. So we typically have 4 that do it: Nicole Miller, Misty Robinson, Madeline Reardon, Caitlin Ramza. If one of them is absent, Lindsay picks up. She has not been doing ongoing parent project work.
Okay.
The additional contract is for quality assurance and strategic planning, which is completely different than the parent project facilitation.
Okay. We'll make sure. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. How Are you okay with us doing those as one motion, those contracts?
Yeah, if everybody on the board's happy with that, that's fine.
Mr. President, I would move that we approve the contracts as submitted for Dr. Matt
Alsma?
Alsma, Mike Daly, Victor Torres, Laura Stahl, Nicole Miller, Kayla Valinsky, Jackie Vega, Wendy Towle, Devin Moore, Mariah Anderson, Anderson Maggard, and
Nicole Miller, you had a bunch.
Lindsay Wright and Nicole Miller.
Second.
Okay.
Did we get them all?
I don't think we got them all.
We missed Madeline Reardon, Caitlin Ramza, and Misty Robinson.
So noted.
Thank
Okay.
you, sorry.
So you're,
Second.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right, we have a motion and a second to approve these contracts as submitted. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion passes. Okay. and
The
then
next
that-
contract is for Lindsay Wright. 2025 is a CARF accreditation year for us. As part of that, we have to have outside entities review and help support our strategic plan and offer additional staff training. And Lindsay Wright is highly qualified to do that because of her educational qualifications, but also because she was part of that CARF accreditation initially with us. She owns her own business now, and that is the reasoning for that. We have additional general fund money because we've offset some of the substance abuse contracts and treatment contracts that we typically do with grant funding, and we're able to support that through the general fund with no additional increase, just through the remainder of this year, which will set us up for that accreditation resurvey.
So, Mr. President, I'll move that we approve this contract with Lindsay Wright from August 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2024.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That passes.
Thank you very much.
Okay, the next item is going to be moved to the next meeting to account for a need for an additional appropriation. Then we have an appendix to the engagement letter with Baker Tilly.
Yes, Baker Tilly has asked for us to modify their contract slightly. This is due to a change in the scope of the work. They primarily do our compilation of our GAAP financial statements and also assist during the independent external audits. They have recently merged or combined and are now Baker Tilly US, and so some of that has to do with how they're modifying their contracts and renewing, and then also additional work that we have asked them to do over the past year or so. So it's an amount not to exceed $121,400 for the year 2022, and then for 2023's audit, $95,000, but then with additional services billed at time and expense.
Okay. Questions in regard to that?
Nope.
I'll entertain a motion.
Doug reviewed it back in April.
Okay.
Just didn't make it to an agenda.
Mr. President, I would move that we approve the engagement letter with Baker Tilly as outlined.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That passes. All right. Okay, amended salary statements.
Mr. President, after talking with our auditor and with some of the council members, I know initially we recommended a 3% pay raise to employees. By going through the numbers, I'd like to change that to make a recommendation of a 5% pay increase to all our employees. And I'll make that as a motion first.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to amend our recommendation to council for 2025 to, from 3% to 5%. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion passes.
Mr. President, we also have done some discussion with the probation department. I know they are basically set by the state, and they're recommending a 3%. Would like to increase them another 2%, that they get the 5% that the rest of the employees are getting. I'd also like to make the recommendation that probation from 0 to 3 years of their starting time, that all new probation officers be automatically start at the year 3 starting date. So by saying that, I'd like to make that recommendation to the county council also.
Second.
Okay, all right. So, again, that's to add the 2% to the 3% that the state's already proposed to make them equal to 5%.
Correct.
And then to start all and existing folks that are 0 to 3 years, move them through to the 3-year pay rate.
Correct.
Okay. Starting in 2025. And that is, again, a recommendation to
Correct.
council. Okay. Any further discussion on that?
No, sir.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion passes. All right. Then the ratification of contract with Quality Correctional Care for services at community corrections. Doug, do you want me to?
Yeah, so this was entered into last week, I believe, maybe. The days all run together. It came up on an emergency basis because you just can't have discontinuity, there we go, in medical services at community corrections, and so that was entered into through, I think, contract through December 31st, 2024. It looks a lot like what you had in place last year, and so this would be a motion to ratify that action.
Mr. President, I would move that we approve the agreement with Quality Correctional Care for medical services at community corrections in the amount of $295,647.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. I'll
Just sort of clarify that amount. That's an annualized basis. The contract term itself is from August or July 24th, something like that, till December 31st, and it provides for a monthly amount on that. So whatever that monthly amount's what you're going to be paying.
$24,637.25. And I'll just add that there was $300,000 that was budgeted for the contract for 24. So, okay. Any further questions?
No, sir.
And I did have a second, correct?
I did.
Okay,
Second.
okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That passes. All right.
Mr. President, I move we hear ordinance 2024-11-CM, amending Tippecanoe County Code, Chapter 90, Animal Control.
Second.
Okay.
So this amendment to our animal control ordinance it is part of the overall process where you're having a new animal shelter. We're trying to work together with the cities to coordinate some things, and so they have introduced their own changes to their own animal control ordinances, and we're all sort of trying to get our ordinances consistent, particularly in those ways that that affect the animal shelter. And not solely, but there are going to be differences as between the cities and the county because sometimes you have different needs. But the specific changes that you'll see to our own ordinance from what we have in place is it changes the definition of abandon, which now would include desertion and leaving in place without permission of the property owner. This comes up a lot. I feel like West Side sort of proposed that. It comes up when you have people changing as tenants and leaving their animals at apartment complexes and so forth. It modifies the definition at large by changing immediate control to direct control, and then adds the definition of direct control that refers to an animal trained to respond to voice commands and is on private property with permission of the owner. That's to make it consistent with the two cities. Modifies the definition of owner such that one does not become an owner unless you're caring for the animal for 10 days. Our current statute has it as 3 days. And if you notify the animal control officer within the 10 days that you have a stray, you're not considered the owner. Requires a person who takes possession of an abandoned or at-large animal to notify the animal control officer. Modifies the impoundment notification requirements, so when we have an animal impounded, to track what the city of Lafayette currently does. This includes telling the ACO to use the information on the microchip, if any, communicate with the facility on a vaccination tag, and communicate through the shelter's webpage. It adds the shelter as a decision maker with respect to whether an animal suffering from rabies, infectious disease, or debilitating condition must be put down. It allows the shelter to charge its regular impoundment and shelter fees in addition to the county-imposed redemption fee. It gives an owner 5 days to reclaim an animal that has been impounded. This is up from the 3 days we have in our current ordinance, and that'll be consistent with what the cities have. It specifies that the ACO can condition reclamation on the owner entering into a hazardous animal agreement. I think this has been the practice, but it just makes that clear. It specifies that the ACO or the shelter is authorized to perform microchipping of an animal that's been the subject of an ordinance violation. It specifies that when owners are required to sterilize their animals due to an ordinance violation, they have to provide proof of that to the ACO, and if they're required to do the sterilization and they fail to do so, the ACO is authorized to have the animal sterilized at the owner's expense. It adds a community cat section. This basically says that, with some exceptions, if a cat's found at large, the ACO or a citizen can take that cat into the shelter, who is then authorized to sterilize and tip the cat and then return it to the place where it was found. It updates the commercial sales chapter. This one's a little different. As you recall, we passed the commercial sale ban, and the state largely, but not entirely, eliminated our ability to do that. The way the state statute works is it says that essentially we can't regulate commercial sales from people who get their dogs from specifically licensed places. Anyway, so what we do is we track what's forbidden by the state, and we say that our commercial sales statute doesn't apply where the state says it can't apply. So that's conceptually the same. So, or what we're doing. And I kind of battled through what's prohibited, but we're not allowed to regulate a pet store from selling dogs acquired from a commercial dog breeder that's registered or certified in certain ways, and so we exclude those from application of the ordinance. Effectively, we're probably not going to be regulating many pet stores, but we wanted to just track the state statute pretty closely. And then the last thing it does is it increases the fines from $200 to $250, which is what the cities have.
Okay. I do want to thank the committee that worked on this. It consisted of a lot of people, including obviously both cities, the county, the attorneys, law enforcement, and our shelter organizations and rescue groups. So we appreciate all the feedback that we had on that. Are there any comments from? Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak to this ordinance? Okay. Jennifer?
Brown,
Yes.
Byers,
Yes.
Murtaugh.
Yes.
Ordinance 2024-11 CM passes first reading 3-0.
And then we will hear that on second reading at our next meeting. Okay, and next we have the lease agreement with the Humane Society for Greater Lafayette.
And this leases out the facility to allow the Humane Society to use it. It's no charge, there's no rent due, but it does specify certain maintenance responsibilities they have and insurance requirements, and sort of delineates the rights of tenant and landlord.
Okay. Any questions in regard to that?
Mr. President, I would move that we approve the lease as submitted.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for the approval of the lease agreement with the Humane Society for Greater Lafayette. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That passes. All right. Speaking of the shelter, next we have some change orders. The first one is with TDH Contractors, and it is for adding the additional parking space south of the Master Gardeners. When we did the project, we had to close off some of their parking for a construction entrance. And so we made up for it by putting gravel parking on the south side of the gardens. And then we added, we had to remove a fire hydrant water line for a total of $25,479.13.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion passes. The second one is masonry repairs. When they took down the porches off the back of that building, they were tied in significantly to the brickwork, and we had to repair some of that masonry work to the tune of $5,200.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion passes. Next, we added permanent parking to the north and east of the project to create, I think, 23 additional parking spots for a total of $38,093.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. The next is for mall hops for the addition of additional cameras, licensing, patch panels, monitoring, wiring, and hardware for an increase in security cameras to the tune of $41,163.80.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And that passes. And the last one is to replace cabinets, or to add cabinets in room 157 for an increase of $3,000.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion passes. All right, next change orders for the roof at the Sheriff's Department.
This is a change order of Wolf Commercial Roofing, Inc. We had to change the fasteners to concrete fasteners for half of the roof, reroute some electrical to existing exhaust fans to get the electrical conduit out of the sides of the curbs, install wire for new exhaust fans, and add 2 motor control center buckets to power new exhausting fans. So this change order is a plus order of $79,915. I so move.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That passes. All right, we have 2 applications to the villa.
Mr. President, I would move that we approve the applications for the villa from Brenda Huggins and Christine Kingery.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion passes. All right, does anybody have any unfinished or new business? Okay. Reports on file, we have a report from the Building Commission, from Central Mail, accounts payable and duplications, and from Tipmont Wintech on the fiber project. Those will be on file in the Commissioner's office. Is there any public comment?
Come down to the State Fair, say hi. Oop.
I don't know if I need to do this for this. I just want to thank the commissioners for allowing the people to grow. We've had a very productive year at the gardens, and come and visit. It's really,
Okay.
people are very appreciative.
And Mickey, could you state your name just for the record?
Mickey Penrod, Master Gardener.
All right. Thank you very much. Is there anyone else?
Could I possibly address what I had on the agenda? Sorry, you guys moved faster than I had anticipated.
Well, we actually tabled it to the next meeting for the appropriation to go through first.
Okay,
So,
okay. As long as I can let them know because we're behind.
yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Great, thank you.
Move to adjourn.
Okay, we are adjourned. And you're going to be